Jeffrey Epstein's connections to Ireland is absolutely horrific. But I have to clarify something. In my earlier video, I said that it was alleged that certain documentation that referenced Jeffrey Epstein within Ireland had been shredded and destroyed. Well, that isn't alleged anymore. I can say as a 100% fact that information, documentation was destroyed on Jeffrey Epstein within Ireland. Somebody has actually done that. So when you're watching this video, that's your foundation. Somebody within Ireland didn't want you to know who Jeffrey Epstein was really connected to and how deep it actually went with his connections within Ireland. And before I dive into all this information, I have to state this. Just because somebody had a connection to Jeffrey Epstein, maybe they met up with Jeffrey Epstein, doesn't mean they were a paedophile or they are a paedophile or they're involved in a cult. We don't know really who anybody is. So I really need to state that. And there's a lot of misinformation in regards to a lot of people at the minute, where there's individuals coming online, putting out information, fake files in regards to Jeffrey Epstein to muddy the waters, to distract you away from the actual truth. So here we'll go. The connections between Jeffrey Epstein and Ireland, including the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, primarily revolve around his private jet visits. Mentions in recent released Epstein files, notably large trenches from the US Department of Justice in late 2025 and early 2026, alleged trafficking claims, business discussions and associations with certain individuals. There is no evidence of Epstein owning property in Ireland or establishing a major base there, but his activities touched the island in several ways, and that they did. So some of the locations that Jeffrey Epstein visited with his jet: Dublin, Waterford, Shannon and Belfast. They are the documented locations. Now let's get straight into the names. And the first name is Paul Tweed, but you see, Paul is a solicitor here in the north of Ireland that had a communication with Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm led to believe that Paul Tweed gave Jeffrey Epstein legal advice to which Jeffrey Epstein didn't take, and that was the communication cut. And we're not going to really hold that against Paul. We're not going to hold it against any of these names because we don't know the truth, because at the end of the day, Paul's a solicitor. But one name very interesting here: George G. Mitchell, former US Senator and key architect of the Northern Ireland's 1998 Good Friday Agreement peace process. He had ongoing contact with Epstein post 2008 conviction. So why would an individual have ongoing contact with a convicted paedophile? Very, very strange. Dennis O'Brien, Irish businessman, telecoms, media. He appears in multiple group emails with Epstein from 2018, post-conviction. Why would you have communications with a convicted paedophile? I'm not accusing any of these men of anything. I'm not saying that these guys are wrong-uns or anything like that themselves. My question is, why would you have communications with a known convicted paedophile? Why not just cut that communication? Completely dead. Alan Shatter, former Irish Minister for Justice Fine Gael, reports indicate he met Epstein in Ireland at least once in 2011, post-conviction, including an official meeting involving the Department of Justice, Secretary General and the US Ambassador. The purpose remains unclear. So why was Alan Shatter, who we'll get into in just a little minute, a prominent person within Irish politics, meeting up with a convicted paedophile within Ireland itself? So this convicted paedophile flew to Ireland, and Alan Shatter met up with this convicted paedophile. Why would you do that as a prominent person within Irish politics? But before we dive deeper into Alan Shatter, here is a story of a victim. Allegations involving Ireland and Jeffrey Epstein. A woman victim witness told the FBI she was trafficked to Ireland for politicians. and notable men as part of Epstein-related human trafficking. She alleged being brought to Ireland were men part of an organisation taking naked photos of a young girl, so she's seen other girls, this happened to other girls, and bad things happening to her before being taken to Epstein's island from Ireland. So this woman is alleging that she is the victim of human trafficking for the purposes of, sexual exploitation. Trafficked to Ireland was in the hands of an organisation where they took naked photos of other girls, and I'm assuming herself. They sexually assaulted her, and then she was further trafficked on to Epstein's island. That's what she's saying. And that happened within Ireland. So, in my opinion, the reason why the documentation was really shredded was to bury that and anything that's surrounding that. Because that isn't a one and done situation, is it? If something like that is true, then it's continually happening. Do you know what I mean? Now let's go back to Alan Shatter. Once again, I'm not accusing Alan of anything. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I'm just asking questions. But here is a little bit of a backstory on Alan Shatter. Alan Shatter, full name Alan Joseph Shatter, is an Irish Jewish lawyer, author and former politician born on February 14th, 1951 in Dublin. He served as TD, member of the Irish Parliament for the Dublin South constituency over multiple periods, 1981 to 2002 and 2007 to 2016. He was a member of the Fine Gael party until 2018, when he left and later ran unsuccessfully as an independent in the 2024 general election. And Alan here is known for having two jobs at the same time within the Irish government, actually the first person to ever hold two major roles. And these roles were Minister for Justice and Equality and Defence and Minister for Defence. Very interesting stuff. So I really have to state I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but my question is to all those individuals: why were you having a correspondence, meeting up with this person face to face after the conviction, after you found out that this guy is a convicted paedophile? Why would you do that? And there is Jeffrey Epstein's connections to Ireland. Something tells me they run a lot deeper. And that theory is based on some facts, like the fact that documentation was just shredded. Somebody took it upon themselves, or maybe a collection of people took it upon themselves to say, shred that evidence because that is damning. So this is what we know, this is what they released. So the evidence that was shredded by whoever, imagine what that would have led to. They did not want you to know. And that is human trafficking to Ireland and out of Ireland to Jeffrey Epstein's island, to prominent top politicians having a correspondence, meetings with Jeffrey Epstein within Ireland after Jeffrey Epstein's convicted. Crazy stuff, folks.